The Jets have been through the fire. So are the Jets a better team? And is Hellbuck a better goalie for what they've just gone through? Frankie and Scott Arniel's very own words, they were extremely nervous before Game 7. A horrible start, but they battled, recovered, survived to fight another day. How are the Jets now a different team after what they just went through?
Because they're battle-tested, Gino, and they won the battle. It would be different if you lost it. Of course, your season is done, but you would talk about how they blew a 2-0 lead in the series. You would talk about how Connor Hellbuck wasn't up to par considering how well he plays in the regular season and how poor he plays in the playoffs. But that's not the conversation anymore. The conversation is how resilient is this Winnipeg Jets team that they were able to flip the switch in a Game 7, late in the third period, and then take control of the game in overtime. So now you hope that whatever you learned through that process, you can carry over into the second round. But that was a very resilient effort by the Winnipeg Jets, and they are battle-tested in a smaller sample size, but they won the battle. And that's a great sign for that team moving forward.
No one was tested by fire more than Connor Hellbuck. He gave up 2 goals on the first 4 shots after giving up 3 in the first 39 minutes and 35 seconds, though. He was outstanding. 56-45 of shutout hockey, giving his team a chance to recover and clinch. Afterwards, he said, "This series has been a mental grind." Did he just go through a crisis of confidence? And how is Hellbuck a different goalie now that he's just gone through this?
Hold on a second, Gino. Did you just say Connor Hellbuck was outstanding in that game? Am I hearing that right? His team
for the
bailed
last
him out,
56 minutes plus.
His team, the Winnipeg Jets, turned into the Winnipeg Jets, where they don't allow shots on goal. They don't allow high-quality chances. It's amazing that, and let's give Connor Hellbuck some credit. He made the saves that he was supposed to make down the stretch. Call them the savables, the ones you're supposed to make. But there have been moments in this series. I go back to Game 1. Connor Hellbuck didn't have his game. His team bailed him out. Game 7, his team bailed him out again. And, so if you look at the way the team operates during the regular season, it's about time that someone bailed out their goaltender. Because there are times when Connor Hellbuck makes big saves in the regular season, and it buys time for the star players to get their game going, find some offense. And in this playoff round, he was on the other side of that, where the players bailed him out. So yes, he finds a way to get through it, and now you hope in the second round that Connor Hellbuck can find the game that he has in the regular season, the newfound confidence in the playoffs, and maybe a little bit of a light bulb went off, and he can ease some of the nerves and the tension that he feels and has felt in the first round, and just get back to playing Connor Hellbuck goaltending against the Dallas Stars, because you're going to need it if you have a chance at winning that series.
Frankie, I get what you're saying, but to suggest for a second that the shutout hockey he played after he gave up those 3 was just because of the guys in front of him, that's not fair, because I think Hellbuck completely turned his game around. He made some amazing Connor Hellbuck type saves to keep his team in it down the stretch. Yeah, I think somewhere there's the balance there. The fact that he wasn't hung out to dry, but at the same time, he didn't give up the ones he needed to stop. Isn't there a balance there? This was a new Hellbuck after that.
I'll give you this, okay? Body language is so important come playoff time. Everyone's looking at it, from the coaches to the players, and especially the goaltenders. Down the stretch in that Game 7, Connor Hellbuck's body language changed. All of a sudden, he was a little more aggressive. He wasn't off his angles. He wasn't deep in his net. He was coming out and challenging shooters. Listen, he's not the most athletic goaltender, but when he's aggressive, he can make up for whatever he lacks in the athleticism department. And you watched him make some of those saves, and there was a little pop in his step. He was getting up quicker. He was shaking the puck out of the glove with a little more gusto. So yes, I'll give you that. But my point is the players in front of him allowed him to get to that point where he felt confident. So now he's there. And now going into the second round, he has to continue with that, because you're not going to get as many opportunities against a deep, offensively inclined team, great defensive team like the Dallas Stars, to get those opportunities to turn things around and find that confidence. It might not be available to you in round 2.
The Jets survived and advanced despite being severely shorthanded. No Mark Scheifele. Josh Morris, he got knocked out of the game inside the first couple of minutes. Circumstances forced everyone on that team to elevate to survive. Now that they know they've got a different level, can they keep this going against the Stars, or is it just too exhausting to try to carry something like this through an entire series again?
It's going to be a big challenge, Gino. Like we saw with Josh Morrissey out of the lineup, we saw some big numbers on the back end. Neil Pionk, Dylan Sandberg. By the way, Hayden Fleury was unbelievable. He's a guy who should never come out of that top six. But it was taxing, and you got big performances from guys who stepped up in a massive way. Cole Perfetti's one of those guys with 2 goals. You know, you go back to the start of the season or even in the summer, like there was a little bit of tension with that contract, and all Perfetti did was improve as the season went on. Now he's a guy who's counted on in a big way. The captain came through in a big way. The issue is you're running into a Dallas Stars team that is so good, so deep, and they're going to get better. They're going to get arguably their best forward back in Jason Robertson. They are going to get their best defenseman back in Miro Heiskanen. And Jake Ottinger is every good as Connor Hellbuck can be on his best day, on both of their best days. So yes, it's going to be a tall task to ask for the Winnipeg Jets to replicate what they did shorthanded. But at least now they know, Gino, that other guys can step up and take ownership, take charge of this group when you really need to, when the chips are down. So they should have some confidence that scattered throughout their lineup, there's some players who can give you some big performances.
Yeah, I think this is a different Jets team and a different Connor Hellbuck after what they've just gone through. By the way, with the Jets win, that means along with the Oilers and Leafs, this is the first time 3 Canadian teams have advanced to the second round in a non-COVID year since 2004.